Carly knows I like when we have live guests here. And I love
It's a treat.
But it's a good topic.
Yeah.
We're talking about diversity in sports. So yesterday and today, there is Diversity in Sports Forum taking place at Central Piedmont Community College. And so it's a chance for college students, high school students, to really kind of soak up a lot of that game, a lot of that knowledge. There's a lot of game out there for young people. So it's a chance to network. It's a career fair, panel discussion.
It's good to start early.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I wish I was able to be a part of something like that. So whenever I hear about something like this, I'm like, man, this is cool.
The opportunities we could,
I'm a champion.
Yeah.
I'm a champion for this. So I want to read what's on the Diversity in Sports website. So basically their mission, the Diversity in Sports Hub, seeks to introduce young adults to the dynamics of the sports industry with a keen focus on strengthening mental health through effective career development, improve opportunities for emerging professionals from all backgrounds and women in the realm of sports. And we are joined today by one of the panelists today. He's going to leave here and head straight to the forum. So I got him on a tight little timeline right now. This is Brandon Comer, managing partner of Alterity Capital and CCG, and co-founder of the National Black Bank Foundation. Thank you for joining us, man.
No, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Did you fly in?
I flew in this morning.
And luckily the station is not far from the airport.
Thank goodness.
Before we get to what you do, the panel itself, you're from Gary, Indiana, man.
I am from Gary.
How did you get into, and you went to school in New Orleans?
Undergrad in New Orleans.
Xavier University. I mean, let me make sure I shout them out. I don't want any problem. How did you get into finance?
I actually started off bio pre-med and did an internship, realized I didn't like it. I already had finance as a minor. And then I did an internship on Wall Street, fell in love with it.
Really?
Absolutely.
It was
it's all
just like
about
that?
exposure. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It wasn't a path I thought about or was even exposed to at a younger age. But in school, one of my professors said, you should try this out. I followed his advice, and 20-something years later, I'm sitting here.
Man, talk about, so when we think about diversity in sports, we don't really think about the finance part of it.
Right.
We think about being the athlete. Mostly being an athlete, because
Right.
I have a nephew that's I'm thinking of my nephew, he's 14 years old, and he's like, Uncle Nick, I want to get an NIL deal. I want to go to the NFL. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, don't forget about your Uncle Nick. But why is it important for you to, I'll talk about that game, give that game to these young people when it comes to the finance side of things?
Well, exposure is everything, right? And so there are so many pathways that we can follow that we just don't know about. And when you think about sports, to your point, you think about on the court, or you may think about being the owner of a team or the president, but there are so many other professions or careers you can follow, but then you can also be an entrepreneur and do business with these teams and with these leagues. And so that's the purpose of this forum, is to really, expand, what people see as the possibility of how to engage with the business of sport. And for me, it's kind of come full circle. I was an athlete, and then I went the traditional investment banking route. And on the public finance side, we used to finance some arenas or stadiums through bond issues. But to now sit in this seat, post George Floyd's murder, a good friend of mine and I created the National Black Bank Foundation. And we started pulling all of the black banks in the country together to lend into sports. Because one of the things we realized is a lot of the talent come from black and brown communities that are typically underrepresented. And so when we think about these teams and these leagues and who they should be doing business with, we said financial institutions that serve the communities where this talent comes from and where the customer base comes from is a great way to not only do business, but to give back to those communities. And so the Atlanta Hawks, not to bring up a rival, was our first transaction. We took 10 black banks, financed their practice facility, making it the first professional sports facility in the country, financed with all minority capital. Then after that, we did the same thing with Major League Soccer as a league. And then after that, we worked with the NFL and the Milwaukee Bucks, so on and so forth. And so we're about 1.6 billion in transactions in after that, and that's just exposure that these minority-owned banks would have never had prior to.
I got a chance to read your article on News One recently. Check it out. It's a really good article. And my biggest takeaway is financial inclusion.
No.
And that's what you're all about. Can you talk about that article a little bit, and the importance of financial inclusion?
Yeah, one, I appreciate you reading the op-ed. One of the things that we realized, and one of the deals I didn't mention, is we helped finance the Baltimore Arena.
Mm-hmm.
And in that deal, the company that we worked with, Oakview Group,
Mm-hmm.
we said it would be really great if we could put a fund together that invests in venues, that invests in sports-related assets and ancillary businesses. Because while we're talking about front office positions and doing business with these leagues and teams, we also want to democratize ownership, right? And so when you think about these assets, it's no longer just a stadium or an arena by itself. It's these entertainment districts, and you have all of these retail developments popping up alongside it, and all of those things generate, returns for investors. And so the point of the piece was to let people know that this is no longer an asset class that's solely for the ultra rich. There are now vehicles, whether it's funds like ours, where you can get a piece of the pie, right? You can expand your portfolio and invest in something that you actively more than likely participate in, and where you spend your money. And when you tell your kids how to invest, when you're teaching them how to invest, the first thing you do is say, "Oh, well, let me show you how to buy a stock. What company? What do you eat?" Right? Like the first stocks that I owned were McDonald's and Coca-Cola. Right? That's my dad said. You know this, so you should be an owner of it. And that's how we want people to think about sports. You no longer have to purely have an aspiration to play, and if you want to play, that's fine. But you can also think about ownership, and you can also think about owning a business that's engaged with these type of entities as well.
In sports, correct me if I'm wrong, from what I gather in the article, any investment is risky, but not as risky, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to. I'm kind of teetering the line a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to downplay. I don't want to have to get my full compliance disclaimer.
That was my takeaway.
But no, I mean, you think about it, right? A pandemic happened. What the NBA do? They built a bubble.
Yeah.
Right. These are what you might consider somewhat recession-proof type of investments. People love sports. They love entertainment. And so they're not necessarily as risky from that perspective. And even within sports, you still can have a lot of diversification, right? So when you think about a venue, for example, you've got the team that's playing, but then you've got the food and beverage providers that are inside. You've got IT companies that are inside. You've got another company that's helping with the fan engagement and fan experience. So even within the world of sports, that ecosystem is pretty broad. And that's what we want people to realize is, even if you're building an app, are you thinking about how can I enhance my experience that I had at a game? So there are a lot of different pathways, and that's really what we want to shine a light on.
How do you get kids to buy in? Because kids, and I say kids because we were once kids. Look, the shiny object is being the star player, right? Like, how do you get kids to be interested? I know, there's success at some point if you're doing it right, but. When you're a little kid, you're not really, I don't want to call them little kids, but when you're a teenager, you're not really thinking about the long term. You're thinking about the short term.
Yeah.
So how you get them to buy in?
The truth.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And the truth is, you've got a 1 in a billion chance on the court.
Right, that's true.
I was one of the ones that had to accept that truth. But no, I think we have to start really being honest with our kids, and it's not to temper or damper their dreams, but there needs to be some level of reality. If you're not at a certain stage by a certain point, then there's probably not a high likelihood that you're going to play professionally on the court. But if you love the game, and that's the other thing, we got to teach our kids, do you just want to play or do you love the sport? right? Because if you love the sport, then you'll want to be around the sport. You'll want to engage the sport in different ways. And so I think you just start with that love and say, you can still play, but let me expose you to some other things that are happening in and around the sport. And the earlier you introduce them to that, the earlier they can accept that this is a legitimate pathway. And it also could be a buffer. So if they don't make it onto the court, they've already accepted, oh, well, I can still do this, right? And so they don't have to suffer that that hard jab.
It's a hard jab.
Yeah, it can be a hard jab. We all know some people who, who've had to face that. But that's why, again, I think exposure is important, and the earlier you can expose and the more often and the more frequent. That's why, we've had an internship program ever since I started my first company in 2008. I believe in exposure. Forums like this are a great pathway. You see a lot more teams and leagues that are active in the community and saying, we want you to be a part of what we're doing. And not just as a fan or not just through your spend, but also as a pathway professionally.
What have you learned from, I'm sure this isn't your first panel, but what do you learn from panels like this?
I think the first thing I learn, I'm always looking for something I don't know. And so inevitably somebody drops a little pearl, right? And I'm like, I appreciate that. So I had to learn how an organization is addressing things in this current environment, which is important, right? Because this isn't static, it's fluid. There are always changing dynamics, the landscape changes. I mean, COVID, for example, was a huge opportunity for people to say, how do we still engage? How do we still deliver this product when we can't assemble people, in mass? And so I'm always looking for how people are thinking. And most importantly, I'm always looking for what's next, right? A lot of people want to build based on what's happened historically. I think we need to know that, but we also need to really keep our eyes on where is this going? Where is this game going? Where is this going? Especially from an investment standpoint, because you're investing because you want to hold this and have it for the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Right.
What happened 10 years ago may not be as helpful, right? That may not be the exact roadmap. So I'm always looking to peek into people's insights as to what's coming next so that we can adjust and we can be a part of the new experience.
How can folks, let me plug it again, because the Diversity in Sports panel, 3 to 5:30. So look, you got a little bit of time to get there. Yeah. You're going to be there
Please come.
as a panelist. How can folks get in touch with you? I know you are a person. I don't even want to see your email inbox. Yeah. A man in demand. But what is the easiest way for people to get in contact? Just again, soak up some of this game from you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yep, you can find us online at alterity.capital. That's ALTERITY.capital. My email address actually is a good way to reach me. Okay. So Brandon.Comer@alterity.capital. And you can follow me on IG at Brandon L. Comer.
That's Brandon Comer, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for stopping by.
I appreciate you for having me.
Next time you're in Charlotte, you got to come back.
I definitely will.
You got to come back.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, man. That is a great event that is starting in about an hour-ish, but 3 to 5:30, great event. You got the information there. The full interview will be on our website at some point very soon, also on YouTube, so check that out.